Kia ora tātou. Welcome to our panel, Our Language, Our Sound. My name is Sarah Owen. I'm from Ka Koraki Ka Maranga, the Māori Music Industry Collective. I will leave my wonderful, illustrious panel to introduce themselves.
Ka wai tēnā koutou katoa, ko Eugene Fuimaono toku ingoa. And no ngā puhi no Naitirangi, and I am the MD for these two wonderful people. And kind of this guy now these days. He's jumped on the waka, so tēnā koutou.
Kia ora everybody, my name is Noema the third. I am a music producer, songwriter, award-winning songwriter, who gets to work with these award-winning artists. So let's go. Producer, songwriter, music helper guy. Sure.
Tēnā tātou te whānau. My name is MOHI from Tātou Reo whānui, Ngāi Te Rangi, Ngāi Te Kaungunu ki te Aotearoa, and I'm an artist.
Sure, kia ora. My name is Jordyn, and I am from Waiata in Samoa, and I'm also an artist.
It very much feels like we're interviewing the artists. Yeah. So the summit, Our Sounds, Our Spaces, so the places across Aotearoa where music is made and shared. So I want to start there. And this one is for all of you. When you think about where this music or your music actually lives, what spaces come to mind first? And obviously that's not necessarily stages, but the places that shaped it.
Where the music lives? That's a great question. I think, honestly, it lives with people similar to me, like urban Indigenous, urban Māori. I think I write very much from that perspective. And so I think when I'm like in live situations, that's who I'm seeing in the crowds, that's who's streaming, that's who's listening. So yeah, I would say with like exists in the mirror, people that kind of look like me.
Poetic.
Okay, shut up.
That's nice. I reckon it lives in Eugene's garage too. Like we do a lot of rehearsals there, and that's where the sound sort of builds. Lives in the streets. Lives where we're from. Lives in the heart.
For me, I love to be in my little studio dungeon. Actually, well, not my studio. We go to Big Fan, which I help kind of put together. That's my musical space. I think it was cool hearing about the first panel talking about like the community halls and the centres, and that's definitely where I started off playing hardcore shows back in the day. So yeah, it's back in the community, but it's also in the studio. It's on the stage, on Spotify. Yeah.
For me, I grew up in Pōneke, and my whānau is a musical whānau. We actually have ties to the Māori Music Industry Collective. My auntie helped start it up, Teresa McGregor, and Uncle Rania.
Damn, I didn't know they were whānau. Awesome.
And so I've just been doing music my whole life, but only sort of started doing the garage stuff recently. And so my focus is, if we ask the pātai no hea te Waiata, e pōro mai, where is it coming from? Oh, it's just coming from going to gigs as a kid. And so that's sort of what I try and recreate. And then the pātai that I always ask is, especially working with MOHI and Jordyn and whoever else, is like, what is the sound that they want to make and how can I facilitate that? Like I got the old music degree and the years of playing, and how can I turn their sort of ideas of saying, oh, I want this part of the song to go up and this one to go down and this one to be spiky.
To
and
feel
I go,
purple.
Oh, let me translate that into something usable. So that's sort of where it goes for me. It comes from the experience, but turns into how do I embody what their want is for their sound. Ka ora.
Damn, that's a great few answers for that initial question. I'd like to just explore this relationship between producer and artist. And for those who don't know, both MOHI and Jordyn are artists in their own right. They also are BVs for each other, is fair. So this is a whānau right here. But So for Noema, what do you think it takes for an artist to trust you with something unfinished or something vulnerable? And equally, for the both of you, what was it about Noema specifically when you first met him that told you that this was the space that you wanted to be in and you could be yourself with him?
Okay, yeah. A little bit on that. When we first met each other, I was forced to work with them. Big Runga made us work together at Song Hubs, the Māori Song Hubs. So they had to trust me because Big would have like, psh. No, I feel like for an artist to trust me, I think I have to, with their vulnerability, I think I have to be vulnerable myself. So I kind of have to set an expectation in the room that this is a creative space, and I always say what we make today might be absolute garbage. Just to set that expectation that, like, no matter what, we're going to come up with something. It could be bad, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, we just need to make stuff because we're creative. And if it's good, that's amazing. But the fact that we just gave something a shot, and I think setting that expectation really low seems to help. Just get them comfortable with throwing out the random ideas or diving deep into their feelings about something that is important to them at the time. So, yeah, and I don't know, we have coffees, we have yarns. But yeah, so I try to be vulnerable myself and kind of lead by example in that sense.
Yeah, I think it was my first collaborative studio sessions was with Noems. I don't know about everybody else, but like when you meet somebody, you sort of know this is going to be a good hononga. And so when we went into the studio, the Kazi's just a warm fella, so easy to work with, so easy to write with, especially like, I think it was like my first or second year in the scene as a writer, so I didn't know much as well. And he was open to teaching me along the way, so I think all of that come into play. And then actually our first session together, we wrote Me Pehara, which ended up getting an award, so must be something good, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we wrote Hey Love. That was our first studio session, which was on Waiata anthems. And so, but I think Noems is really good at like letting us be really stink at something, like real bad. He's made me play the keyboard. He's made me beatbox terribly. And like, he doesn't have to use anything, but I think just the practice of being, just being bad at something in the process of creating and being able to try everything and then see what kind of lands or what sticks. And then, yeah, like having kai together, coffees. Now I just feel sorry for him because we're in, like, it's hard to actually record something because everyone's a little bit too comfortable now. But no, it's mean, yeah.
Mean. So let's head into the creative space a little bit more. So we talked about the studio, talked about the garage. When you're writing or recording in Te Reo Māori, mixing reo rua into a track, I guess that space carries a particular responsibility. So, this might be a bit of a deep one, but what does it actually demand of everyone in the room? So not just from a linguistic point of view, but that spiritual or cultural aspect of it.
I think when things are lived, they're a lot easier to, there's like less pressure to aim for perfection. You know, like he tauira ahau o Te Reo Māori, I'm a student, consistent student of Te Reo Māori. It's like a very central point of my life. So outside of writing, I'm speaking Te Reo Māori. There's like something I'm trying to establish in my household. It's a language that's outside of just the songwriting process. So then when it comes to the creative process, it feels like there's a shared value for it. That probably doesn't answer your question. I don't know. I think it's like in the process. I think I've just learned to lean into the fact that I'm not an expert in Te Reo Māori. Probably won't be for ages and ages. But that's okay. I can lean to the actual reality of my lived situation. I'm a student. I'm a learner. And putting that energy into songs, I think, is very honest. You know?
Yeah. I think writing in Te Reo Māori, it demands intention. So what are we trying to create in the studio? And I think it comes down to, like, for me anyway, writing bilingually or in Te Reo. And if I'm writing in English and Māori, I want to make it so that it feels like both languages are slow dancing, both worlds make sense together, but also speak to those worldviews as well. If I'm writing about Waiata aroha, if I'm writing about love, then what are some kōrero tuku iho that I can pull on, that our ancestors were talking about back in the day, that we can talk about now? If I'm talking about traveling, are there any ancestors that did a whole bunch of traveling that we could use as inspiration for a song? And so I think it demands intention, especially because, like, how I see it is the waiata that we create today, they're like the motete and haka that we reference now. And so our mokopuna in the future, they get to have these tonga and understand our world and how we see it. And so the intention is really like the big thing, I reckon. Yeah. I don't know if that answers it either.
No, it totally does. Noems?
And just kind of bringing like another perspective as someone who collaborates with Reo Māori artists, there is like a little bit of a battle. Sometimes like I'll talk to them, and not with me, sorry, more that like these artists still have like big ambitions, like for things to do well overseas, and they want to go touring overseas, and it's like kind of just become viable to really to do that now. I think I think Bad Bunny's a great example of what he's done on the global stage, and obviously his language is a lot bigger than Reo Māori. But there is a bit of a battle, eh? Like sometimes when we're writing, sometimes we'll write in Reo Pākehā, and we do battle. Like sometimes we're like, do we translate some of this? Do we not? If we translate it, is it potentially restricting some of our streams, or are we leaning into like a niche that's going to work really well for us? Slightly like adjacent to that, I've seen success, especially with what Jordyn's done with Man I Need and Olivia Dean, and Jordyn's video just blowing up like crazy. She's found something that people always talk about. You got to find your niche and something you're really strong about and utilize that somehow. It's like, oh, she's an incredible singer, and she can translate like just on herself, like by herself. She can figure it out. And for me to see that video blow up on Instagram and to see what that might potentially bring for Jordyn, I thought that was such a good example of bringing Reo Māori to the rest of the world, right? And for you to figure out and just do that, I thought was just like, oh my God, that's someone who actually cracked an idea. And it's, yeah, I was just very excited to see that.
A short segue, sorry, Eugene, short segue while we're on it from my notes. Have you got the call from Olivia yet that you're...
No, can everyone go online and find the video and tag her, and then she'll call me, because she'll see all of you guys if you tag her.
We're so close. We got to be close, right?
Right there, October, manifesting.
And I remember a time, and I think it was actually Moana Maniapoto, when she was talking about her music in the reo, and talking about how it's much more valued internationally than it is at home. Do you feel like that has flipped recently at all, even just a little bit?
Maybe it's like flipping, because I think we still definitely value something more when it pops off overseas. I think, but at the same time, we have way more Reo Māori music sitting in many different genres, finding its way in, different homes, different ways of delivering Te Reo Māori. And so I think it's maybe in the process, but I think those things are very much in tension still.
Okay, back to my notes. So Eugene, you're across both of them, live, moving through venues, community spaces, festivals, te mea. Where have you witnessed their music land in a way that genuinely surprised you? So I guess in saying that, like what does that right space where you're like, wow, this has taken off. What does that right space do for Waiata Reo?
So, my PhD is basically talks about decolonizing Māori stuff. And one of the things I noticed is that right now we're in a unique space where Māoritanga and Te Reo Māori is actually kind of cool. It hasn't been for 200 years. But because of the work of Tupuna, of Timoti Karetuma, and then being here today, we actually have the opportunity for not just Māori to think Māori is cool, but for also Pākehā, Samoan, Waiata, ki Aotearoa. And so every space is a surprise. Soundsplash, it's not the Māoriest of festivals to play at, but i reira, they love Māori music. I think there's two things probably. The first one is that Te Reo Māori is cool. The second one is that we always try and make Te Reo Waiata, or the sound of the music, also be something that's engaging and excellent. And I think someone mentioned it, like in the academy we call it referencing, where you like talk about someone else's work. Well, in arranging or MDing, we do the same thing. It's like, oh, that's a cool riff from that song that someone might know. And then we stick those into the Waiata Live as well. So we're sort of double whammying. There's a pincer attack of Te Reo Waiata doing a reference, and then Te Reo Māori doing its flash thing. But yeah, everywhere is a surprise, because it's amazing. I know that just, talking about south side of Bombay, for example, who my whānau were part of, they were slogging Te Reo Māori in a climate that wasn't super keen for it, and making it popular and international, and so we get to work off the back of that. And so we're pretty lucky now that it gets to land. Come on, Aotearoa, get rid of the government. Mate ora.
Now there's a segue we could really get into. Noems, how does Te Ao Māori show up in your production choices? So beyond lyrics, I guess, does the intended space, so, if it's the recorded piece, whether it's for a festival or a small venue or something else, kaupapa Māori, does that ever feed into how you produce the track?
It feeds into the vibe in the room, for sure. I feel like my favorite sessions have been the Reo Māori writing camps. Like, they've just, like, the first song hubs I ever got to do was the Reo Māori one, and it's where I met these guys, and it was the first time I had ever worked with like Māoritanga in mind, like, and just people who understood my experiences in the music industry. This is like, what was it, like 5 years ago or something? But it was actually like so rare for me to have people who understand what it was like to grow up Māori, to grow up with not much money, like grow up from a small town who moved up to Auckland, and just to, I don't know, it was just nice to have those experiences. So I feel like when I'm working with specifically Reo Māori artists, where I don't know, there's like a wavelength we're all kind of on that we almost don't need to speak about. Like we just kind of get it. In terms of the production, I purposely almost don't try to think about bringing Te Ao Māori in too much. Like I'm a big believer in just do whatever the song wants to do when I'm producing, and if we want to bring huckers or anything in, that's cool, as long as the song wants that, because I don't want to force it. yeah, like I don't. It just has to. The song will tell us if it wants to do that or not.
Also, arranging your music is a joy to me. Like, real Māori music has been reggae for so long and kapa haka for so long.
Which is still dope, but
It's fine.
There's other genres.
But playing some R&B soul with real Māori, thank you.
But we love reggae and roots reggae still.
What do we call it? Reo soul.
Goes hard.
Neo soul.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a really enjoyable thing for a non-artist is experiencing the reo in all genres at the moment. You know, I love alien weaponry. The reo Māori in the electronic space at the moment is mean. So yeah, I agree. No takahi on our roots reggae whānau though. Where am I going? Eugene, in a group like this, because we've talked, it's whānau. He doesn't like it when I say his name. He's like, oh, I gotta get ready. Someone often becomes the person who is the po, the person who steadies things when the pressure hits. Who is that? Is that you? Or is it someone else? And where does that responsibility sit? I guess particularly when you guys could be moving through spaces that are new or aren't always set up for you.
Can I answer this for you? Sure. It's 100% Eugene. like,
that is why I
The reason I know this is because like I also MD for artists as well. We kind of talk about it as like it kind of sucks. Like it's a lot of responsibility, but someone's got to do it, and Eugene does it really well for all the artists he plays with, and like just coming into the live group with MOHI and Jord's. Just seeing like the strong foundation he's built in the rehearsal spaces just made it so easy for me to pop in and just do my thing on it because Eugene's built such a strong, strong foundation for what these guys are doing live.
And not that I would like to say that about myself, but I think one of my strengths is that I don't like doing everything. And so I try and find the person that's correct for that job and go, hey, can you do that, please? Because I'm not the guy. So admin, we've got a great admin team, which is everyone, thank God. But yeah, I don't think shouldering everything is the way to win. I think being able to delegate well sort of helps. But yeah, we're all the po of the whare.
Nice. As someone who's a terrible delegator, I would agree that delegation is key. Or else you end up with really grey hair and just going to bed because you're tired. But is that a superpower of this group? Is that you are like family? You are all the po. You are good at delegating. Everybody kind of knows where to go at a particular time. And
timing is not our strength in terms of punctuality and all that kind of stuff, or even staying on task. But I think the job is basically like, let's get the high level thing done. What are our main take that we need to hit? And as long as we get there, we've kind of succeeded. And so yeah, that's kind of the strategy that's won so far. And yeah, like I said, like I don't want to do everything. We make Hope do all the BVs.
I was gonna say.
I'll do the arrangements.
Shout out to Hope sitting in the back.
Shout out to Hope sitting there. Obviously, MOHI and Jordyn hold it down. So yeah, everyone's got a job. Makes it easier.
Nice. Anything to add, MOHI?
Yeah, I think it makes it way easier knowing that your team has your back, and that's like what we all carry. Like I think there's like 9 or 10 of us, and we all know that, if I'm struggling with this, I know that the team is going to help me out with this. We've had gigs where like we've just been running it, and heaps of stuff that we don't actually know that we're working on the fly or learning on the fly, and so having all of us know something about the scene and then putting it all into action, it helps everything come to life. And so God backs, like that's probably the biggest thing for our team. Yeah.
And when people don't, I try and fire fast. But
And then me and Eugene have fights about it. Like, no, everyone's got to stay on the waka.
I'm like, they're off. Kick them. So yeah, like whānau.
Perfect. For the both of you, you release music in Waiata Reo, Māori and Reo, but also you have solid repertoire of Reo Pākehā music. So, navigating commercial spaces, different spaces, deeply cultural ones. For you, where do you feel the pull between those worlds most acutely? And do you, when that happens, when the pull happens, do you ever feel the need to hold your ground about the kind of space that, and whichever music, but the music of the time, what that deserves?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think sometimes the tension can be, there are commercial strategies to make your music successful. There's also like I think sometimes a very limited view of what te reo Māori music is. Like, there's only room for one popular reo Māori artist, and so it's like it wants to put you into competition with your peers. Whereas I think I don't believe it at all. It's not how I see things happening. I think for us, this whole career has worked because we have all joined forces, because it's expensive as to run a band, to pay everyone to be able to produce the sound that you want, like at a really high quality. And so being able to turn up for your friends, however they need you, if it's backing vocals, if it's co-writing, whatever it is, we're going to be there. And I think we've been able to weave in like that. And we're seeing all our mates succeed. Everyone that we hang out with, they're popping off. And I think it's being able to really lean into your identity and those values, those mātāpono that really inform you about who you are, not to get lost into the commercial strategy. I'm sure it works. We're seeing it work all the time, but I'm not trying to be that, so I don't have to, you don't have to necessarily follow everything. I think doors open for you when you're on the right path, and there's a certain ease when you're hustling in the right direction. And I definitely think that's true for te reo Māori music. I think doors open, and weirdly enough, it's been the thing to help us travel. I've never traveled more in my life than in the last 3 or 4 years with te reo Māori music, or been able to build connections, build more global audiences. That's te reo Māori. So, cool.
Yeah, tautoko, yeah.
So we've talked about travel, and we've talked about how this is a whānau. Where does everybody else fit? Babies, partners? They fit first. Like, everything works around them, you know what I mean? Like, your whānau first, your household first, your well-being first. And I think it's seasons, like all of us, we're all quite, I would say, high feelers. So you can tell when we're great and then when we're not great. But I think because we work together, there's so much room for us to not always be on all the time. Sometimes one person is carrying a lot more than other people, and then it, kind of changes in and out. But no, they come first. Like, everything works around them. If it's not good at home, then it's not happening anywhere else. Well, that's my bottom line anyway. And
if you can't get a babysitter, they come to the gig.
Literally
had babies backstage, just, trying to make it work. So
in the studio, like everywhere.
In the studio. On actual tour, that's right. Yeah, that's how it is.
And I think that's a beautiful thing that maybe we don't find everywhere, because and from my own, my mum and my daughter are down the back working. We've this is a family business for us. They're waving. And I know that kind of multi-generational involvement isn't always welcomed everywhere, but for Māori, we see that as a real strength. I can see Willa's 5-minuting.
Can I just add to that real quick?
Absolutely.
Me and Diaz talked about it just recently because we're both new dads. And we're like, of course we have to incorporate them into our world because it's the only thing we can actually help them with is music. Like, if you want to be a lawyer, I'm sorry, you're going to struggle, mate. That's the only help they'll get.
Yeah, don't ask me for any help with your maths homework, but I can rock a spreadsheet. All right, 5 minutes. Where am I going? Well, let's end with, I guess, some inspiring words. So if a young Māori aspiring artist or producer, somewhere out there right now in this room or watching, maybe not sure if there's a space for them or their reo, what do you want them to hear from this conversation today? Open to anyone to answer.
I feel like there's never been more space like than right now. I feel like you don't have to force it. Like, use reo Māori if it feels right to your art. Like, don't feel like you ever have to force it. But I think now what I want people to take away is that it's actually viable to use it now, and it's not going to take away from your career. Actually, it's going to help you a lot. And there's a lot of support for reo Māori music right now in the industry. Like, and look at the award winners for the Scrolls for the past few years. Like, it's Māori music. So yeah, for me, there's never been more space. So if you feel like it's the right thing for you to do creatively, then don't hold back.
I think a key that's helped us is find/create your team or whānau. Like, if people are on board for kaupapa that's not just having your back, it ain't going to last. If you're leaning on something that's shaky, you're going to shake to the ground. So make sure you find people or create people. And, like, how do you do that? Just have a real upfront conversation. If you find someone that is great at guitar, can you be my guy? Can you be my guitarist? And what can they look like? Because like, the unknown sucks. So you might as well just have it out up front. Can you be my guy? Kia ora. Rude. Yeah, that's mine.
I would say lean into your story, lean into your experiences, lean into where you're from, whether you're from urban settings like Auckland or if you're from the far north or the deep south, lean into where you're from, lean into the kōrero that your people hold. Kōrero tuku iho, whakatauaki, whakatauki, all of that, because that's a point of difference as well, not just here but internationally. And Reo's only going to grow and grow with the amount of people that continue to engage with it. We say Māori music is global. That's just what we've been saying, and we know it. And so it takes all of us to believe that for that to happen. So yeah.
And then I reckon you have to practice, like really practice being the kind of person that you would want to see in your team. Like, you got to be a mean mate. You have to be someone that turns up, I don't know, to a gig or to help other people in the same way that you want. Yeah, because it all comes back around in that way. That's how community works. So being a really good community member, I know it's maybe a little bit of a boring answer, but it feeds into absolutely everything, whether it's songwriting or your kind of artist trajectory or running a band or anything. I think it begins to attract the kind of people around you. So yeah, be the guy.
Beautiful. Does anyone have any questions?
Kia ora, my name is VK, and I just wanted to ask and just say I have always been inspired by Te Reo and Waiata Māori, and how can I, as a Pākehā who has been inspired by that sound, explore more of that space in a way that's respectful and collaborative, as opposed to sort of taking something that's not mine. Yeah, that's my question.
I'd say collaborate with someone who is Māori maybe or has an understanding of it. That's probably the safest way to do it. Yeah, that's my quick answer, actually. Sorry. That's all I got. I thought I was going to go deeper than that. But no, literally collaborate, like hit us up. Just have a coffee with someone who's from that world, I think. And just express what you're looking to do, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. What he said. And I think, I think what happens in your lived life, like in your real life, is always going to inform the way that you are engaging with Māori music. If you're hanging out with Māori artists, Māori producers, Tātou Oro artists, then I think naturally you can learn relationally what respectful ways are to engage, and it's the rules are defined by those relationships, and then you don't, it's not so it's not like a prescribed situation, but it's because you're living it. Kia ora.
Sorry, one more thing to that, actually. A big part of using reo Māori in music is like we're often even creatively thinking about our whakapapa, which is just such a big thing and natural when you're Māori. You're thinking about where do I come from, where are my roots, my family. We talk about our mountains, our rivers. So and finding that for you as well. Like, and then, yeah.
Check, cool. Tēnā koutou, ngā mihi mō tō kōrero. Really inspiring to hear from you all. I suppose my pātai relates to our kaitito Māori and kai Waiata Māori in terms of those who would consider themselves tauira of te reo. When we go to create Waiata Māori and Māori music in general, what is your advice for people who might not be super confident in using their te reo as a vehicle for their expression?
Yeah, I think a really good, just as a tauira in general, not even just as a songwriter, you just have to be friends with discomfort. You just have to be friends with it, because it actually never goes away. You learn more, it's still there. It's still there. So, you just have to make friends, Make friends with whakamā, make friends with the discomfort of not being the best at something. And then I think celebrating the fact that you're creating and kind of in a different way documenting your journey as someone who's growing in their reo. That's definitely what it is for me. You just use exactly what you have, and you don't need anything more than that, because you're going to be learning more anyway. And yeah, I think it's a cool way practical way to just keep growing in your reo, in your capacity as a songwriter.
Tuatahi ake tēnei, te mihi kia koutou, ngā toki o tō tātou nei reo, e hāpai i tō tātou nei reo Waiata, kia puta ki te ao mārama ki te whai au. A paku pātai is, what barriers do Māori artists face in the wider music industry?
Me question, okay. I kind of want to say none a little bit now. It feels like significantly less compared to where everything was in the 80s and the 70s. I think for me the biggest barrier was just with the people I was working with, amazing artists and stuff. Kind of coming back to that Song Hubs thing was just not having those people around me that understood my experience. That was probably the biggest barrier, weirdly. But I don't know if there is much anymore. Is there? Can you guys?
I can answer a little bit of that.
There we go.
Just because I've been around way longer than Slot, the grey hair didn't give it away. I think that creatively, our artists, our producers, there's we are not short of talent and we are not short of opportunities. Where possibly Māori fall down is our support networks in regards to our music managers, our music publicists, our video makers, that next level of support is possibly where we are lacking a little bit. We haven't caught up to the amazing supply of wonderful artists. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good point. More Māori managers, more Māori labels. Yeah, be lovely.
Thank you all. Big paki for Jordyn, MOHI, Noema and Eugene. And now I believe we get to have some kai.